early 2000s, I believe. So on the outside, it looks very similar. It's a two-seat, which you don't really see much of. It's got lots of different bits on it, and only really the kind of, when you look at it closely, you'll spot. That was obviously throughout the testing. It was designed to test air data transducer.
Royal Air Force Falcons. And eyes to the skies then, gentlemen, because here they go. Smoke is activated, the ramp is open. They're pumping fists, they are ready to go. Presenting to you in 30 seconds, the 2024 Royal Air Force Falcons Parachute Display Team. And there they Sergeant Greg Ashleby. Pass, low fly pass on A400M Atlas. And latterly part, of course, of Kinetic at Boscombe Down.
And indeed, what's great to see is it back in its sort of Kinetic colours as well.
Yes, it almost went straight from military use, and of course latterly Kinetic was a civilian organisation, but still on the military register, into civilian hands. They're now crossing over at Gazelle for VIP transport duties. Now leading the pair in, coming in now from the left, is another 27's operations. They used to use the Gazelle for daytime reconnaissance runs on low-level navigation routes that would be flown later the same evening by the Chinook.
It's a kind of ducted tail rotor, whereas initially the tail rotor was very open, just like a small propeller. As the squadron come past, have a look at the tails, you'll see they're sort of enclosed. That was for a number of very positive reasons. If you accidentally stuck your tail into a tree, at least it had a little bit of protection. It was much safer on the ground. A UK first, certainly the design came from the UK and universally adopted. There you can see quite clearly those four fenestrons on the squadron.
And bringing up the rear is an X-705 Naval Air Squadron Gazelle of the Fleet Air Arm. And it was 705 that provided both the Sharks and the Pussers pair displayed. So a very tight formation there, but watch now as the aircraft is split away. Incredibly small. This is billed as a 5-seater aircraft. We do have a fifth one here at Cosford on the ground for you to have a look at. That again is towards the big video screen, and it's a very tight squeeze. Very small helicopter in UK service, certainly with the break of the 2024 Gazelle Squadron. Royal Air Force Valley, the Hawk T2.
Stand up.
Watch for the steep pull up.
speed bleeds off, the aircraft will come into the hover for the first of its, I think it's fair to say, its characteristic manoeuvre, the nose over.
There are two versions. Both versions have a wheeled undercarriage. You'll remember that most Army links, not all, the Mark 9 later had a wheeled undercarriage, but most Army links had a skid landing gear, and the naval ones had a wheeled undercarriage for shipborne operations. The decision was taken with the new Wildcat, when it was developed, to give them all wheeled landing gear.
So important when you're pushing these aircraft around with very small helicopter landing pads on the sterns of frigates and destroyers. There you see a kind of spiral loop. That's the MX Westcam electro-optical device. It carries a range of sensors, including a very, very high-powered camera, able to detect targets at very long range, both day and night, in any weather condition.
And as with any platform, the Wildcat's capabilities have been developed significantly since it entered service and began to replace the Mark 8 links with Royal Navy units, because these helicopters can be armed with marklet missiles, which they use for the destruction of small ships or swarms of 5.0 caliber machine gun, and on board it can carry Royal Marine sniper teams, for example, for the knocking out of a drug smuggling boat. Before the raison d'etre is back.
And here the aircraft pulling up for another one of these kind of spiral loops. It looks like it's going to be a loop. Just a little turn over the top. Brings the aircraft back perfectly onto the A-axis.
Very different machine this from the links that preceded it, although there are some super... But as Lieutenant Scott Sunderland completes his...
servo clearly does have the altitude for that full loop. Cloud base, good enough for his full display.
And into a very, very tight band, getting away from us. All of this with the two.
And you can clearly see the water vapour.
G, meaning his body weighs some 9 times normal. And setting up now for a slow roll down the display line.
When he gets about there, he'll put his afterburners on.
And this is, of course, an aircraft that is on daily active service operations, whether maintaining quick reaction alert, the UK Air Defence capability from both Coningsby and RAF Lossiemouth, or around the world, notably in the Middle East. Doing its bit on the Baltic air policing commitment, providing air defence to the 3 Baltic states.
We've seen previously, and as such we'll be showcasing the aircraft's operational abilities in an all-new 2024 roll demonstration. The Chinook fulfills many operational roles, including trooping, carriage of freight, parachute operations, VIP and passenger flights, casualty evacuation, humanitarian assistance and military aid to civil authorities. This year's roll demonstration is brought to you jointly by 18 Squadron, the premier frontline operational Chinook Squadron, and the Joint Helicopter Support Squadron, known as JHSS.
In a minute, spare card. Have you at all?
Now it's time to prepare yourselves for one of the highlights of today's flying displays. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, please turn your eyes to the sky for the 2024 Chinook roll demonstration. In today's configuration, the aircraft could carry an incredible 6 additional tons of freight and still achieve an impressive range of 300 miles. The team are now positioning to drop off the underslung load in front of you. Dropping off an underslung load requires a robust and effective communication process between all crew members, as pilots are unable to see what's going on underneath the aircraft. This is achieved by the crewman in the rear cabin, painting a mental picture for the pilots over the intercom, using voice marshalling to direct the aircraft to the precise drop-off point and ensuring the aircraft lands safely clear of the load. Today the Chinook simulating conducting an essential weapons drop-off close to the front line under the watchful eye of Sergeant Lawson. JHSS have wrecked the landing site and are marking it with smoke. Not only does this identify the drop-off area, but it also gives Coops an appreciation of the wind, direction and strength. Once safely on the deck, the JHSS team will leave the aircraft in order to attach the gun to the Land Rover and provide mutual support ahead of moving it onwards to its battlefield location. Having successfully dropped the gun, Coops will manoeuvre the aircraft forward and down away from the load to allow the troops to disembark and set up in a defensive posture. At RAF Odeon, we are fortunate to have our very own underslung training area. This allows crews to practice lifting a variety of items, from netted barrels to heavy ISO containers. This invaluable training wouldn't be possible without the support of JHSS, a tri-service organisation based at RAF Benson that offers specialist skills in underslung load operations, including rigging, hooking, and the preparation of landing sites. Next, the aircraft will conduct an over-the-shoulder departure. This is a dynamic manoeuvre used to quickly move away from enemy threats in front of the aircraft as they climb and build rearwards momentum below a ballistic blade slap. On the ground, we can see the troops de-rigging the load. JHSS are the specialist helicopter handling unit for defence, a joint squadron made up of both Army and RAF personnel based out of RAF Benson in Oxfordshire. Formed in 1982, they
jets are the result of the afterburner, which delivers maximal power necessary for takeoff. It also improves its handling and speed. And going around. Gear up.